Yeah, I'm recording as well.
Like, this is called...
Gotta warm up.
Bridget, hit record if you haven't hit record.
Not yet. We gotta wait.
You can't do the clap until you've started recording.
Yeah, so then we know where we can align the heavy clap at the beginning of the
What are you talking about?
That's like, well, bam! But not that one. Not that clap. Not that clap.
Now that clap is ruined. What are you doing?
No, it's still the clap. It's the clap. See? When we clap, we know that it begins.
Stop doing it.
And that's the intro. Now, everyone.
Well, it's fine with me. That just is more editing Jay's gonna have to do, or whoever's editing this thing to go.
You know, that's
There's
probably
the
best. There's the best fucking question. It is who's saddled with editing this podcast? Not it.
What do you mean?
Sure. I guess I'll edit it.
No, I mean, we can actually save this discussion for after we're done recording.
Okay, sure. Now back to the matter at hand. What do you know about Disney Quest, Bridget?
Okay, so every birthday I would go to Disney Quest when I was young, and when I would go there each day. Not each day, each birthday.
Okay, was this a multiple day trip to Disney Quest?
The journey of becoming a Disney adult is wrought with training.
No.
You must bathe in the Disney.
Put on the weighted ears.
Yes.
You will take them off at the end of the week like fucking Rock Lee in Naruto. And
you'll be able to hear like a fucking safecracker.
And I was able to go
I might
there.
be a cracker, but I'm nothing but I'm not safe. I'm unpleasant. Sorry, what?
You're not safe, you're unpleasant. What does that mean? I don't understand.
Finish your story.
Clap. Sorry, go on.
So yeah, I grew up when it first opened, and I even went to it right before it closed. And it was really nice to go there right before it's closed, because let me tell you how few people get to experience decrepit Disney.
You took photos. I remember. They were horrifying.
All the light was like at 25%. It was not brightly lit at all. Things half working, barely any people in there. I went on a ride where it was Extreme Alien Encounter, meaning that the Disney Quest ride based on the Disney ride lasted longer than the actual ride.
Oh God.
What?
Alien Encounter was, in a rare case, an actual terrifying Disney ride.
It was pretty scary. I remember this is one of the ones I've been on before, and granted, I was like a let's say sensitive child, and it scared me.
Well, yeah, because it simulates a creature touching you, breathing down your neck. Like it is very intense, or was very intense for a Disney ride.
Yeah, it's like Great Value Alien.
Yeah, basically.
I see.
And then they made it into a Stitch ride with the lights on. Nice. And then they shut it down. But anyways, that ride at Disney Quest, the screens for the video game use like magnified glass. Mm-hmm. So to cause the warping effect on the screen, they have like a magnified glass over the screen.
Yeah.
A spider built its nest in there, and so there's just a big magnified spider on one of the screens.
That kind of rules, actually.
No, yeah, That's awesome.
Because what? You think anybody there gave a shit at that point about cleaning up any of those fucking rides?
Oh my god, that sounds fucking terrifying.
There used to be a cheesecake factory in there, and it turned into a mini cafe that only sells nachos and hot dogs that are pre-made.
Oh my god.
It's the kid sitting in front of the two paths. The Cheesecake Factory or the nachos and hot dogs.
Neither is the right answer. But...
Frankly, I would probably take the nachos and hot dogs. Or actually, no, fuck that. I don't like hot dogs. I'd probably take the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory has nachos, so. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, the sad fact is the Cheesecake Factory is no longer there. But you could leave the place and go back in because they understood that there's no food in there. So I went across and just ate at Wolfgang Puck's. But
nice.
And I have a medal from there, a hero for a day. which you got by being the first person in the theme park.
I think you've told me about that one. I thought it was a medal for the Wolfgang Pucks, and that's why I was very confused.
You stomached off fish and kept it down. No, wait, he's the guy who talks like this, isn't it?
I don't fucking know what Wolfgang Puck sounds
I'm thinking,
like.
is he the guy who did the Shaolin Showdown cook-off thing or whatever the fuck it was? What was his deal? Not that. No, sorry. Like the chef who went around and was like, "Hey, guy who's a master of this, I challenge you to this." And then they try to fucking see what the crowd says and judge it.
I think you've Mandela affected a cooking show into your own brain.
Hold on, we're looking
it's
it
called
up.
Yakatade in Japan.
No, it's not.
No,
that is not.
What's the fucking
And we are already off the rails.
Food.
Oh, we haven't even started yet. We can just
I need to
violently
delete
wrench
this
it back
recording?
into...
No, don't delete this recording. This is staying
We're
in.
keeping it.
While Bree's looking this up, we can do the clap. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then clap.
Okay,
Sounds
I want to be
good?
clear though. After we do the clap, there are no claps for bits. No bit claps. We're done with that.
That's got to be the last one.
Okay, everyone ready?
Right?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
Great.
Love it. Okay. Meanwhile, Bree is still looking up whatever fake show that she's made up in her brain.
This is real. This is real. Sorry, go ahead and start it and I'll pipe in.
We can't start it. We're so far off the rails of what we would
We haven't even introduced what this is or who's even
There's a guy,
talking.
I swear, there was a show on Food Network back in the day where there was a chef who went up to people who were renowned in their field and went, "I challenge you to a fucking showdown, bitch." But I don't remember what it was called or who it was.
Oh, it's like Meet the Geeks but for food.
Welcome to Put It on the List.
No.
And then it played the sound effect from Ed, Ed and Eddie, which I thought was a weird choice.
Which sound effect from Ed, Ed, and Eddie? Are we talking about the which one are we talking?
Yeah, great. Do that a few more times to endear the new listeners of whoever would somehow find this podcast.
Speaking of endearing listeners,
hi everybody, welcome.
Bridget, no, I wasn't even going to get started. I was going to continue on a tangent again. Bridget mentioned fucking Shaolin Showdown, and I never actually fucking watched that show, and I never would.
It was Bree! What are you talking about?
Bree said the word Shaolin Showdown, but clearly had no conception of what that was. But then Bridget picked up on it, and she
wait, you're just saying the names of cartoons and not that you don't know?
Yeah, she doesn't know what Shaolin Showdown actually is. She doesn't know that it's a cartoon.
I don't know. If I knew what it was called, I'd know what the show was, and I could look it up. But
hey, Evie, do you think the villain from that show is like a past Onceler from the Lorax?
I don't even know who the villain of that show is. I just know that the cadre of main characters, there's like a little Shaolin
him.
kid. There's like a girl.
Evie trying desperately to describe these characters without being as racist as the show.
Yeah. And the third kid is just like the white kid who is from Texas.
Culture, they did a shit job of it, apparently. Is all I hear.
He just wears a cowboy. He literally wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be a cowboy.
Speaking of cowboys, everyone, welcome to Put It on the List.
Yay!
A brand new podcast. Surely a fresh concept that anyone on the internet has ever heard of.
Hey, I have a question. I have a quick question for the
Stop it.
audience. Did you go and check if there's any other podcast with this exact name?
Absolutely not. Trust me, this is going to be a co-host exclusive podcast for probably the first couple months, most likely, until we set up an RSS feed. Anyways, hi, welcome to Put It on the List. My name is Jay. Next to me here is
Oh, I thought you were going to introduce me.
the
Hi.
person literally right next to me.
My name is Bree. Well, how you doing? How's it going?
And then I have two esteemed colleagues here on the call with us as well. Who introduces themselves first?
You will see me one more time if you did good. You will see me two more times if you did bad. Hi, I'm Evie.
Hello, Evie. And lastly, I don't know if we're going to be referring to you by your VTuber name or by your actual name.
Well, you've already been saying the name, so it's kind of moot now.
Kayfabe is off.
Yeah, go.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, taking the neck brace off right now.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna introduce myself. Put it on the list. Put it on the list, where two goofy dudes discuss all things nerdy in the entertainment and streaming world, helping you decide what you should put on your list. They currently have 101 episodes.
Well, we could fight them for
They
it.
started in 2022. Its
That's
rating
not-
is like split.
They're not established. 2022,
Yeah,
that's nothing.
come on. We're fine.
We've been doing this for the longest time without even a podcast.
We can spell it Onda, O-N-D-A, and that's still technically, if we put a TM at the end, that's different. That's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to spell it like you would putting on the Ritz.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's gonna work just fine. They didn't spell it that way, did they?
I think it is. It's just put it on the list with 3 exclamation marks.
We'll be fine.
Damn
Welcome
it.
to Put It on the List.
What are they gonna do? Sue us? It's
Yeah.
fine.
This podcast country.
If
we're
we
just
gotta
saying,
change
speaking
the
of
name,
Cowboys, you know.
it'll be okay. Blank
fine.
Check did it.
Yeah.
They did a whole several seasons where they were just called the Brian and David podcast or whatever.
Well, it
the
used to
fuck.
be the
that's
Adventure
fine.
Pals, and then it became the Retro Pals because somebody else.
There you go. So it's gonna be fine. We don't need to spend time of what will already probably be a lengthy endeavor.
Anyways, I'm
people are
Bridget.
here to hear-
I'm a Yeti girl, and I'm a VTuber or something.
Yeah.
Famous
And gay.
VTuber. Famous VTuber, Sassietti.
Famous esteemed VTuber, Sassietti.
Yes.
Get those
very
clicks.
true.
Yeah.
And we're here to introduce Putting on the List. On the list? On the list. I'm already stumbling.
Yes.
Oh,
Anyways,
don't worry. I'm going to put it on the
here's-
list a lot.
Here's the thing. This is what's going to divide us from whatever that already established podcast is. We've got a set of rules here.
Yes,
I
we
thought
do.
you were going to say
And
we
put it
have
on the
4
list.
gay people.
That
That's
too.
true too. Probably. But
First and foremost, before even that, we have rules
Oh, yes.
that we follow here.
Oh, yes.
We're not just we're not a movie recommendation podcast. This is a challenge podcast, a game show podcast, effectively.
Yeah, we are not early sapiens. We have rules. We have structure.
That also happens to revolve around discussing movies.
Yes.
Here's how it works. We have a revolving table here where each person in the queue has to pick a movie that is connected to the last movie that we watched in this club by either the cast or crew involved in it. It could be the lead actor was in this thing and is in this other movie, or it could be the fucking best boy. It could literally just be a random like stagehand. If you can find a connection between the last movie we watched and whatever one you're trying to pick out, then you are golden to pick that. And every 2 weeks, we're going to put out an episode. Here's the thing that makes for a little twist. Each year, each one of us gets 2 wild cards. So if you decide, fuck it, I don't feel like trying to come up with a connection between this last movie and whichever one I'm trying to pick out.
It's been known to happen.
You can throw it out the window and just pick something else, and the thread starts anew from there. But you can only do it twice in a year.
Are you sure you want that twice and not just once?
Twice is okay.
We'll figure it out as we go. As we've discussed.
We're feeling it out.
Yeah. This is episode 1, baby.
You know, you could.
The only downside is the revolving table makes it hard for me to reach my tea. Wait, it's coming back around. Ah, got it. Awesome. All right. We gotta fix that table. It keeps spinning.
You know,
Yes,
given the tendency of podcasts to not last very long, not that I would invoke that upon our program, but you know, I feel like you would be incentivized to just instantly use your wild cards as soon as possible.
Well, maybe
like
you
to
shouldn't.
just like spend that cash, baby. You don't know, like
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
This isn't a YouTuber startup. This is a real endeavor. It's gonna happen. It's gonna keep going. I like to believe that we hold this as a value.
We say that as the proud founders of Wife City, a streaming channel that basically does not stream anymore.
No, yeah.
Anyways,
the 3 podcasts we made were very good. But go ahead.
Anyways, you may be wondering, dear esteemed listeners,
That's you.
how exactly we start off this thread, because we don't have a previous movie to go off of. What we decided to do is we put all of our names on a wheel, and each name on that wheel got to pick one movie that they would want to be their first movie that we watch for this club. Now,
I don't even remember
we spun
what
that
I
wheel.
picked.
I have it right in front of me, so you're okay. We spun that wheel. Whoever it landed on first, they were going to be the last in the queue, and
Yes,
so on and
that
so
was me.
forth. Yes. So the first person that landed on was my dear friend Evie. Evie, would you care to tell us what your pick would have been and why?
I would have I would have picked In Bruges, the dark comedy film starring Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, and Ray Fiennes. We happened to watch it anyway, just kind of on our own, so like I wasn't really punished there. But I mostly wanted to revisit that one, I mostly picked that one because I wanted to revisit it. I hadn't seen it since it was relatively new, and I think it was just like, it's one of those movies where like it feels like it's either gonna hold up extremely well or not hold up well at all, and it was a nice thing to share with my esteemed cohort.
And I'll say, as someone who was watching it for the first time in the year of our Lord 2024, that's a great fucking movie.
It is a great movie.
It had to grow on me, but as I was watching, I was like, no, yeah, this...
Yeah, there's definitely some color to it
There's some language.
that doesn't fly as well in the current year, but it's a dark comedy.
Yeah.
You kind of expect a little bit of that, at least somewhat.
Yeah, these people are all
That's
scumbags.
funny. Yeah.
Bridget is giving me a look like, I don't know about that. But you know what? Speaking of Bridget,
Uh-huh.
do you want to take a guess at what your first movie was that you would have picked?
In this corner of the world?
It was not. It was an anime film, though. It was Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. So
yeah, sure.
First, you have to discern it between the other Little Mermaid most people know. So please.
This is the 70s classic toy animated Little Mermaid movie, of which almost definitely some animators or somebody else at Disney must have seen, because there are certain aspects of that version of The Little Mermaid that is not in the original novel and is also copied into the Disney version. But yeah, I think at the time, at least, I picked something like, something that isn't too hard, something that is, something that's short.
Okay.
And like,
I feel like you're taking pot shots at me for the one that I picked, but go ahead and continue.
That's what was my logic. It was like, I didn't want to pick something heavy, something that to ease it in.
Again, taking shots at me.
But like the movie that you thought you had picked, In This Corner of the World, we ended up watching that as well. And honestly, like, I'm glad we watched that movie and not Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid or whatever, because like,
what do you mean whatever?
I mean, like, sure, it's like, hey, look, I don't want to sit here and like take shots at The Little Mermaid, but In This Corner of the World, way more interesting and like affecting film than I'm sure The Little Mermaid was.
Yeah, I could agree with that, especially like hearing you describe the extended version of it. That's one of those things that if we had watched the extended version, I probably would have had a lot to talk about, especially versus The Little Mermaid. Admittedly, I've never seen it, so I can't speak to it.
I'll have you know it has a lot of nudity.
Great. I can't wait to have 30 minutes of just saying titty, 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 ass, ass, titty, ass, titty, ass, 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 titty, titty, ass, ass, ass. Anyways, the other...
Titty, ass, titty, ass, 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 titty, ass, titty, ass, titty, ass, titty, ass, titty, 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 ass, 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 titty, ass. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
The other reason you picked it is because you literally had just gotten the DVD for it. Or the Blu-ray. I can't remember which version.
That's not a reason, is any, I think. That's not
the worst reason.
Hey, Jay, I'll tell you, in this day and age, I would never buy a DVD. Are you kidding me?
That's what dates us. Is I'm gonna refer to a video disc as a DVD for the rest of my life, and I will die with my cane holding me up, bitching.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of those unfortunate old people things that I'm okay being that way.
Yeah.
You know what? I would prefer being the old person that's
put it on them video cassettes.
On the DVD.
That's that Betamax those kids are talking about.
Here's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I will add a little bit of color to the life of whatever young person happens to be around me at that point. They're like, remember that old bitch that kept calling like Blu-rays DVDs? Like, she is crazy.
Considering people still
Can you
fetishize
please at
Laserdisc.
least call it HD DVD? That would be even more fun.
No one remembers what an HD DVD is.
They wouldn't show porn, so they lost.
Yeah, that
They
is
lose.
true. That
They
is
get
why
nothing.
they lost. It's because pornography
Yes.
could not
Yeah.
be.
So fuck them. Anyway.
Did you have one last note on there, Evie?
Oh no, it's just like on the subject of being old and calling video discs DVDs for the rest of our lives. Like it's interesting to see like the thing that makes you old and dates you, just like to discover that in real time. Or it's just like,
I know that's
gonna be like people our age like calling things Nintendo tapes.
I don't think the children are buying 4K Blu-rays either. So it's not
yeah, they're on streaming platforms, like either streaming platforms or they're pirating it, you know.
Yeah, much as we grew up with dated places using their leftover laser discs and VHSs, other kids will go, I remember when I was like 5, I saw a DVD. That was, like they would know the difference. It's still a disc that goes into a shitty little device, but
every day I look myself
it's
in
not
the
a very
mirror
different medium.
And I'm like, I should have bought that laser disc of Aratsuki Doji.
Moving on. So my pick. For a movie, Bree here. My pick for the movie was going to be Pi for a couple of reasons. Eraserhead and Pi were my first black and white movies that ever captured my ADHD brain attention span. I didn't really want to go with Eraserhead though, because again, another Lynch film, so I wanted to vary it up. But I went with that for a couple of reasons. I haven't seen it again as recently as the other, and Pi is less psychological horror and more of a thriller of sorts. It's a perfect intro into symbolism and the polarizing of black and white, the binary mathematics by which someone losing his mind and trying to logic everything in the universe into ones and zeros loses his damn mind, and can't think of a better film for me than to have gotten into black and white movies, really, than that. Something that plays with all of that at the same time and is also a visually captivating film.
You know, I definitely would have been pretty alright with that being the first one too, because it's a good movie, and also that's one that similarly, it's been a very long time since I watched Pi, so I'd be interested in going back to it, especially having seen more like Darren Aronofsky movies since I first watched that. Yeah.
Good stuff.
But it ended up being your film.
It sure did. And for those people listening that are familiar with the movie I picked, you will have already picked up on the fact that I chose David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, which is... So there's a few reasons.
We did it, everyone.
Why I picked this. What?
25 minutes into this recording.
Yeah!
Honestly, quicker than I thought.
Yeah. No, same.
What was your estimate on how long it was going to take us to actually talk about the movie?
Like 45 minutes easy.
I was thinking 20 was my bet.
Yeah.
I think we're making good time. Awesome. Also, to be fair, it's probably even quicker than that if we consider how much of that was us bullshitting.
That's true.
All of that might be stinger, at the end of the podcast that we put in there.
Stinger and okay, go ahead.
So wait, what were you gonna say?
Well, I'm saying the beginning and the end, little clips
sure.
can,
Okay. Anyways, there's a bunch of different reasons why I picked it. One, Mulholland Drive is my favorite David Lynch movie, and David Lynch is probably one of my favorite directors. I would say he's in my top 5, pretty easily. So there's that. 2, as we will get to discussing later on, it's gay. It is a gay movie, so what better way to start off a podcast hosted by a bunch of gay women than with a movie about a gay woman?
It's perfect.
So there's that. And also, David Lynch's movies are kind of my bread and butter when it comes to what I look for in any kind of medium, which is something that is somewhat obtuse, very much dense in terms of stuff that you can pull out of it and just spend your time analyzing, trying to find meaning in and everything. But it's also not on the nose. It's not telling you what it is about. It is very much no, this is a puzzle box, much like our main character Naomi Watts finds at one point. It is a box for you to unlock and unveil the mysteries of. And I think for a first episode, that was a guaranteed way for us to drag this out to at least an hour in terms of recording.
Oh, hell.
I'd say for a puzzle box, it's pretty easy to open. You just need the key.
Yeah, it's just you find a key in a bag of money, and then you just pop it in there.
It is a puzzle. Have you tried getting a whole bag of money? It's hard. Yeah, like the puzzle is society, really. Anyway, go ahead.
So
Surely the puzzle is society.
Yeah, we live in a puzzle box. Anyway, go ahead.
and I guess another layer of it is it allows for a more free-form discussion, because I gotta tell you what, there's not really an easy way to just talk about Lynch movies like beat by beat in terms of story, because shit kind of just happens and there's like light threads that end up
I don't know, it's a pretty
together.
easy overview for me.
Well, I just mean in terms of like a beat by beat like plot synopsis of it. Like it's
so floaty.
It's very floaty, but it's also so like just thing happens.
Like stuff happens and it's like
like you could summarize it in like a paragraph in terms of like what the story
Go
is
ahead.
of it.
So
the story is
what it is for people who have not seen this movie.
Well, I'll tell you what the actual story of that movie is. The story of Mulholland Drive.
Spoilers, everyone.
Yeah, starting off from spoilers, I guess, because Bridget is challenging me on this, is that Naomi Watts is an aspiring actress who has moved out to Hollywood because she had a little bit of money given to her from her aunt that passed away and was like involved in Hollywood. She goes out there, tries to make a career, starts to fall for a actress who is very much been chosen as like the golden child that is going to, be just the star, determined from the inception of the movie, and falls in love with her. That woman, unfortunately, is starting to, get into a relationship with a director whose film she is starring in. Naomi Watts' character gets extremely jealous, hires a hitman to fucking kill her, and then eventually kills herself out of the guilt that she feels for having hired the hitman to kill the person that she loved. Like that.
It's a real happy film.
That is the like core story.
Yes.
That movie ends up being about. However, you don't really find that out until like the last 45 minutes.
I think so, yeah.
I was about to say, like, it's not like it's.
I like how Jay's first
you just told the joke by telling the punchline first.
And just tell the last 25 minutes of the movie.
Let me just give you the answer beforehand and give you no indication about what this movie is actually like.
That's not how you summarize a movie. You don't start at the end.
No, so here's the thing that I want to talk about. Evie, did you end up watching that analysis of Inland Empire?
I did not. Lynch. I did not see it.
So an extremely good video essayist by the name of May Leitz did a analysis of Inland Empire, another one of David Lynch's movies, and like that movie's like fucking 3 hours long. If you think Mulholland Drive is one of those like very floaty movies that like things just kind of like lightly connect and eventually make a connecting plot that everything clicks together in, Inland Empire is that like times 1,000. Like it is way more difficult to try and figure out what the fuck that movie is about. However, her main piece of advice when it came to kind of film analysis in general, but also very specifically David Lynch movies, is you start from the end and you work backwards from there to figure out what the movie was supposed to be about and how all of these things that lead up to the end up making it what it's about.
And I have to say, as someone who has never really been great at film analysis, it's the kind of film that, having now seen it 3 times, I needed to see it 3 times. It's so floaty and dreamlike, it's hard to make those connections for me. And like, I remember the last 2 times we watched it, like for preparing to watch it now, to talk about it now, was like, I was forgetting entire scenes in the film because it doesn't connect naturally. So I'm just like, I forgot this whole half of the movie was here.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's one of those things that you need to really analyze and figure out what the fuck this means. Because, you know, I think the first time I started watching films, when I saw Eraserhead for the first time and was like, okay, I'm watching the movies of all time in my early 20s, I was realizing, like, okay, that was a mindfuck. Let me look up analysis for it and then immediately rewatch it. And it was like watching two films. It was amazing. But it's one of those things where it's just like you get to see the mindfuck aspect of it, and then it allows you to just go back and realize what that whole mindfuck meant. It's like analyzing your dreams. But you're analyzing David Lynch's dreams, basically.
Yeah, and I could see Bridget still quietly judging me from the other side. So that is my explanation as to why I summarized the movie that way. Because I feel like that'll make it easier to talk about the rest of the movie and how it ends up making what it makes.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
I don't know.
You don't spoil a hamburger by telling someone why it tastes good.
What do you have to say, Bridget? I can see that you have something on the tip of your tongue.
Normally, when you summarize a movie, you just do it very briefly, just like the overview of a movie, not like the plot.
You told me to like summarize the plot. And I did.
Yeah, you said sum it all up in a paragraph, and she indeed did that.
I just did what you told me to. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Now we're gonna end up.
It's gonna be a puzzle box
podcast. I'm gonna move this section all the way to the end, and now is where the discussion of Mulholland Drive actually begins.
God, he was right. I don't know how long this podcast is going to last. But
yeah, I think we should just like do like a basic beat by beat summary, like in linear time, until like we get to the point where we're like at the end of the show, and then put like the last 20 minutes of discussion there and just be like, how did they get to the well, okay, so we all know I love dissecting the frog as much as anyone. I love, you know, like my first reaction to watching this movie for the first time was to go online and see what people were writing about it, because like I love to hear, like I love to see that stuff. But like people do experience things in like linear time, and so that does mean that like I feel like yes, you could say that is like the intended, you know, events as depicted in the film, but someone actually watching the movie is not gonna get that. Like that doesn't actually capture what the movie is about, or like what it's like.
Yes, that's very true. And I guess if we are going to do, this is where it becomes difficult, because if we are doing a beat by beat summarization of what happens in that movie, the first thing that happens in that movie is a fucking panic attack.
Yes.
Because it's that sequence. It starts off with a sequence of a bunch of like superimposed like green screen videos of people doing
jitterbug.
It's like the jitterbug.
Yes, jitterbug.
Can you make that into a stream redeem? Just like chroma key out the color. That's such a good idea. People dancing.
It is possible.
It's so, like, don't get me wrong, I fucking love that opening, but also, like, when a movie begins like that, you kind of know what you're gonna be in for, that this is not going to be, like, just a very easy thing to, like, summarize. Like, it's not simply that there's a bunch of superimposed green screen videos of people doing the jitterbug. You also have like the super blown out, like partially faded in video of Naomi Watts and the like old couple just like looking up at like the bright lights the whole time, which I can only assume is probably supposed to be like looking up at the Hollywood sign or
Probably.
Something like that.
At least to
if I
symbolize
had to
it.
guess. But that's entirely theorizing on my end here.
Huh.
However, You get past that point, and then it leads into the proper intro, which is, you have our unnamed second protagonist, played by an actress I cannot remember the name of, unfortunately.
Laura Herring, I think is her name.
Yes, I believe it's Laura Herring. Don't laugh at me too hard, Bridget. I see you laughing at me. She's being driven down a dark, windy road known as Mulholland Drive.
Ah, yes.
And suddenly they stop in the middle of the road, and the two people in the front seat of the limo pull a gun on her and say, "Get out of the car." And she's like, "Oh shit, I'm about to get fucking murked." And as that's happening, you're cutting between that and also a bunch of two cars of like teenagers just like wiling out, screaming like, it's very like the movie is already like setting you in as like I don't like this. There's too much
already
happening.
went through the jitterbug like a fucking Baby's Kids animation where everything's a different size, but like now suddenly this, and it's just like this juxtaposition of that and that is like, oh god, I'm having an actual panic attack.
Baby's Kids, put that on the list.
No, I'm not rewatching that. I couldn't even get through it.
And as they're like, as she's fearing that the end of her life is coming, suddenly one of those cars full of teens just fucking slams into the fucking limousine, killing the two assailants and knocking her unconscious and basically giving her amnesia in the movie. And she, not knowing where the fuck she is, wanders down the Hollywood Hills until she eventually finds a apartment complex where someone is, taking a leave, like seemingly going on vacation, and she sneaks into their apartment while they're not looking and just kind of hides out under a table until,
as one does.
Yes. Does anyone else want to take the reins on what happens after that?
Sure.
Let me pass the torch.
I'll take the reins. Basically, a woman gets in a car accident. She loses her memory. She goes through a bunch of experiences, meets another actress. A lot of strange things happens. And they go to the movie theater.
Hold on. You're passing over so many beat by beat things, because after this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is the fucking two dudes in the Winkies, where it's honestly just one of my favorite scenes in film.
It is iconic.
I think, where it's two guys hanging out in a diner, and one of them is like, "Why the hell did you invite us to a Winkies to like eat, to have like breakfast or whatever?"
It's that universe's Denny's.
Yeah,
it is an actual Denny's.
It's like Denny's.
It's literally the Denny's sign, but just says Winkies.
And he's like very dodgy about like about why he's done this, because it seems to be for like a silly reason. He describes how he's had a dream, two in fact, but they're the same dream.
Yeah.
Describing the setting in like almost a liminal version of whatever setting they're currently in. Like he describes it as being like half night. And he says that like, yeah, you're standing over there like at the counter checking out, and you look over at me and you are fucking terrified of something. And me seeing you like that makes me even more scared. And, we go out behind the diner and I see a man, and what I see back there is so terrifying that I had to bring you here to make sure that it was not real.
I never want to see that again.
I never want to see that face again. So the guy's like, that's silly. I'll be more than happy to like help you do that. So the guy,
turns out it was real.
No, yeah, the guy goes up to check out. He is looking at the other man, and you can feel the dread, and you're like, oh, fuck. They're gonna go out behind that diner, and they're gonna see some fucked up shit. And, you know, in, like, basically almost complete silence, the two of them walk out behind the diner and are just greeted by, like, a man.
Duke.
Yeah, I wouldn't even describe it. He looks like a mud man.
Looks like a sea hag, really, more than...
That's fair. Yeah, very sea haggish.
Very like just taken over by grit and dirt. And
but yeah, they peek around the corner and they may as well like do the Tim and Eric like spaghetti thing. Like they're just like spaghetti, and then they dip back in behind the counter as the guy is like screaming in silence and passing out on the floor. And then
when he pops out, it's kind of comical too.
No, that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, he just kind of slides out and back in.
That's one of my favorite things about David Lynch movies is they play so well along the line of like that divide between comedy and horror, where like sometimes you are laughing, but you are simply laughing because your brain cannot process
and I think that
what it is you're seeing.
This scene hit me so much harder once we watched the Nayleets video explaining how, like, you know, he shoots movies like a dream state kind of thing. Because I've had dreams where, like, if you explain a dream to someone, it's like, that sounds really dumb. That must have been really hard for you. But when you're in a dream, it is terrifying. I've had a lot of different dreams where I wake up into other dreams and this, like, recurring horrific thing happens that I do have trouble, like, going to a place or seeing a thing again for fear that dream, like, I still have that little bit of resistance.
Sure.
But my whole life, like, I've always had really vivid dreams, and I've always had, like, weird shit happening in places I know of that when I go there, I am honestly uneasy. And the thought of that coming out and actually being real is fucking terrifying. Like, when you really put it in that perspective, that's fucking insane.
No, yeah.
Just like you cannot escape this like bizarre reality that was haunting you. And it's really crazy.
And kind of tying back into the discussion of dreams, I think returning to that video that I've cited a couple of times at this point, she talks about how dreams and film are kind of almost ostensibly the same, like kind of the same thing. You are going into this like session of unreality and then coming out of it different than you were before you went into that state of unreality. Like,
that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, and also I feel like it's definitely important to bring up that conversation of dreams, because as part of what I feel like this movie is kind of about, you have both like the literal concept of dreams, things that you experience while you're sleeping, but also dreams as the turn of phrase, as like aspirations for yourself and your future. In a movie that is very much about, you know, being an aspiring actress in Hollywood.
Like, what was the tagline for the movie? It was like, beware what you dream or something like that?
I actually don't know. I never looked into the tagline specifically.
I know somebody's addressed it. Let me look this up. But you can keep going, Mom.
No, I mean, there wasn't too much that I had to bring up aside from just like using that talk of dreams to transition into, after the Winkies like scene, you have Betty, our actual like main character, played by Naomi Watts, arriving in Los Angeles, seeming to want to be like some kind of famous movie star. And it's like this very like happy, like everything is like sunshiny, like beautiful. She's being accompanied by like these really friendly, like weirdly friendly old people.
Beware what you dream for. I think that was it.
Okay.
Yes, Bridget.
These are the taglines. Beware what you dream for. An actress longing to be a star. A woman searching for herself. Both worlds will collide on Mulholland Drive. A love story
Dynamite
in the city of dreams. A woman in search of stardom, a woman in search of herself. In the city of dreams, a key to a mystery lies somewhere on Mulholland Drive. Those are the taglines.
Hi, I'm Naomi. I live in the city.
No, you can't.
I can't. Go
You're
ahead.
just going in.
I know. Please continue.
Okay. Anyways, you have like this old lady and her husband being like, "Oh, it was so lovely talking to you. You're gonna be a big star one day.
We'll be looking for you in the pictures."
Yes, we'll be looking for you in the pictures. And then you have the world's like nicest taxi driver. Like she turns around after like the old people have left and her bags are gone, and there's already a dude fucking like loading her shit into a taxi. And it's like no taxi driver would ever just randomly start doing that if you have not like flagged them down.
Wow,
Like,
people downtown sure are friendly.
Also, weird thing that I only noticed on the last time I properly watched through this. The old people are driving off in a limousine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That is
That's
weird.
fucking weird. And also, as they're driving off in that limousine, they are fucking zooted.
Oh, yeah.
They look like they are off their ass on Quaaludes.
No, yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
the Gammy Num Nums crew.
But I feel like, as we will end up talking about further, you can talk about the idea of the American dream and lifting yourself up by your own bootstraps, and that being an idea that is very much peddled off by, I don't know, boomers, people probably around the age of the old people that Naomi Watts is talking to at the airport. Very much the
I mean,
narrative.
they would be that age now.
Yeah, that narrative carved out by them and fed from them to people like Naomi Watts' age. So I don't know. That seems like a nice little thing to tuck away in your back pocket.
Put a pin
on
in.
that. So after that point, she takes that taxi. She's going off to the apartment complex that her aunt is letting her live in while her aunt is out of town. And, you know, she's unpacking her stuff.
It's a beautiful place, too. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is extravagant.
She's greeted by the landlord Coco, who's played by Ann Miller, who is a widely known actress whose heyday was also back in, like, you know, I don't know, boomer age. So that's another weird coincidence.
That can be the roaring
know?
Hollywood era, yeah.
She talks like Joe Biden.
We can get to that one when she says the specific line that made you notate that down.
She says a lot of things in a very old-fashioned like ways, like, oh, it's a lot of malarkey, and like, oh,
You know, my friend Jojo, let me talk about him.
No, please, her friend Crackerjack or whatever the
Corn pop.
corn pop.
Corn
that's
Pop,
it. Thank
that's
you.
the one, yes.
I remember when I used to pal around Hollywood with old Corn Pop. We used to do the Charleston together.
Everyone
Look at
here is
those
okay with
crystals,
me.
You know the CBD to THC ratio swag. Anyway, you know, Joe Biden. So,
But so you know, she sends her off into the apartment. Naomi Watts is unpacking her bag. She goes into the bathroom and discovers, oh, naked lady
in the shower.
naked lady.
taking a shower. And she's very much confused, but seemingly not alarmed. She's like very chill about the fact that she has found a strange naked woman in her
Shower.
in her aunt's shower.
Oh, my aunt, she just didn't remember to tell me about the naked lady in my house.
Also, one of
If I'd known, I'd have gotten here sooner. Wow.
one of the notes I have about that scene is, what if I were a showering amnesiac you found and we kissed? Ha ha ha, but what if? Is one of the notes I have there.
Well, it's like, oh, my aunt, she never took a husband. Yeah, it's just, I feel like it feels like that sort of thing, where like,
So you think that Naomi Watts is just like, yeah, my aunt, she's a little...
Yeah.
Does
like,
a wave of the wrist.
There's a whole thing where Coco talks about, everyone here is okay with me. Otherwise, like there's like a unspoken, and maybe this is just like, once you know where the whole relationship with, Betty and Rita, who is the amnesiac woman, where that ends up going, you're just kind of looking for it. Like there is like, I feel like this movie is like kind of like there's an interesting queerness here.
Yeah, I think that's the case for a lot of Lynch things. I mean, you look at something like Twin Peaks, and it may be a trans woman played by David Duchovny, but there is technically quote trans representation in Twin Peaks, and David Lynch seemingly treats it with like an actual level of respect, lest we forget I told them to fix their hearts or die. Like, just straight up saying like, nah, if you can't fucking respect trans people, kill yourself.
Which
but like
here's
like, I haven't watched Twin Peaks, but like not entirely, but like my understanding of that scene is that it's like he's bringing up that incident as a way to like pressure David Duchovny's character into like, letting him get away with skeevy shit, which is just like, he's like, hey, remember this time I was cool with you and like I had your back? You can look the other way while I am a fucking monster. Like it's...
Yeah. I'm coming to school tomorrow, but I'll be in a red jacket. Just miss me.
I retract my statement.
Anyway, moving on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail to talk about Twin Peaks.
You mean the trans representation that didn't inspire great representation in Deadly Premonition?
We can't get bogged down into this discussion. We need to at least keep it somewhat on track. Anyways, speaking of Rita, now that she has a name, it's important to note that she took that name from a poster for Sunset Boulevard starring Rita Hayworth, another one of those, roaring Hollywood's era movies.
Yes.
So
there's already a lot of things pointing toward that era.
Yes.
She picks out her name the same way as in The Naked Gun, just looking at something and going
P tier Rita.
Peter Griffin. Ah, crap.
Ah, shit.
Anyway.
Ah, gosh. But no, yeah, she introduces herself to Naomi Watts as Rita from that point on, and Betty is already immediately like, hey, you know what? It seems like you got into an accident or something or no, wait, I already got the threads a little bit spun up. What happens after they talk? Do they immediately start trying to investigate, or does it start cutting to the director?
Rita takes a nap.
That's it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they specifically said you shouldn't nap after a concussion. Like literally the one thing you're not supposed to do. It's like
yeah, but have you considered that I'm EP?
It's true. Girls be EP. Like I feel like they include that line, or they have Naomi Watts say that line about not sleeping when you're concussed, because otherwise people would be like, why didn't she stop her from taking a nap when she's concussed? It's just like she knew. It's just that Rita insisted on taking a nap.
Yeah, exactly.
she was up for some hawk shoeing and some meme-memeing. Okay, she wanted a good EP.
She would accept nothing less than a good hawk shoe
and a meme.
Yes,
but
from that point,
move over to the director.
Yes, but before we get to the director specifically, we see a man in a shadowy room, a little person in a wheelchair of some sort, like, and he's just kind of hanging out, and he's talking about isn't he talking about like putting the girl into the role, or like they lost an actress?
He says the girl is still missing.
Yes, the girl is still missing, which implies some kind of connection to Rita in some way or another. So they're trying to find an actress for a film being directed by another one of our lead characters, Adam Kesher is his last name?
Yeah, Kesher sounds right.
Yeah. So, you see Adam going into the meeting. For some reason, he has a fucking golf club with him. Yeah, he always keeps that motherfucking thing on him.
You know what?
Just in case he needs to break up some cars out of anger, I guess.
Yeah, there's like, so he's like, they show a table kind of head on, and at the three sides of the table, there's Adam and his manager. There's two guys seemingly from like the studio, like Ray and some other guy, and then the third is two guys from the mob, apparently.
Yes. Either the mob or just some kind of producers who happen to have like muscle of some sort. Yeah.
And this guy's having a rough day. Like
Which guy? One of the producers or Adam?
This is Adam.
Kind of.
When
it's
I
a
first
very
saw
odd meeting.
Adam, I had to look up if it was Ben Mankiewicz from TCM. He's not.
It's very funny that you bring that up, because I recently found out who that was simply because he was partially involved in a wrestling storyline with Tony Storm of AEW. What? Because her gimmick right now is like old Hollywood starlet. They literally had him on for like a couple of episodes, like introducing her like promos that she would do. Anyways, Evie and I could talk wrestling all day, so let's not get bogged down.
Yeah, we gotta get.
I haven't said anything about wrestling so far.
We could though, but moving on.
Yes, so the meeting commences, and the studio heads are like, yeah, they're just gonna give you some recommendations on like actresses to cast in your film. All we ask is that you keep an open mind about these things. And the producers enter the room. They slide a photo across the table and say, "This is the girl."
Yeah. So a thing that you get about the director is that he's like he's one of those artistic types. He's protective of his production.
One
seemingly.
could maybe argue that maybe Adam Kesher is a little bit of a David Lynch self-insert.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think about the film he's directing having like this sort of like 50s kind of aesthetic to it, and also just like you think about David Lynch publicly going on about his experience with like the Dune movie and shit like that. And
which related to that is quite literally the only David Lynch thing I've ever seen besides what you've shown me is the Dune movie.
The Dune movie's fun though.
Long sting.
Different sting. Also, that didn't come through.
But I wanted to say it.
But no, yeah, that was literally something I was gonna bring up, Evie, is like, considering like studio meddling that was happening with that Dune movie and everything, and just how fucking alienated he felt from the studio process as a result of that, like, you definitely feel that some of this movie is David Lynch being like, yo, fuck Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I fucking hate this shit.
That's so
much. Before we move on, I feel like we need to point out the producer who hates, apparently they've tried all these versions of coffee for him, and he hates it. He hates every single one and literally spits it out.
He not just spits it out, he proceeds to, as Adam is like arguing with him about not wanting that actress, be like, ah, like bursts into a berserker scream.
I'm forgetting if he is almost literally wiping his tongue of the terror, oh yeah, and they're all like, we researched it, it's supposed to be the best coffee.
They're so apologetic. They're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. It was supposed to be the best. I'm sorry.
We did our research, and I like how the one guy's just like, just gonna go.
I mean, supposedly, to the experts, the finest coffee is excreted from a monkey. So, maybe it was some monkey shit coffee.
And there's the suggestion that this isn't the first time this has happened, where it's
because they said this time we got it.
Yeah, this time for sure.
This repetitive Ziltoidian hellscape of bad coffee.
But anyways, so, they get into an argument, and he's very, Adam is very much like, this, I'm not going to fucking accept this actress. And his manager is like, it's not, you don't have to take it, it's a recommendation. And then the producers across the table finally say, it's not a recommendation. And Adam says, but this is my film. And they say, it's no longer your film. And, he's pissed. He storms out of the meeting and proceeds to find their car in the parking lot and beat the shit out of it with a golf club. So, which is fantastic. He gets the valet to pull up his car so it's, nice and ready to go. And it's like, hey, talking to the driver inside the car he's about to beat up, this is the car for these guys, right? Yeah? All right. Hops in the car, speeds away. And from there, we cut to a seemingly completely unrelated scene.
Oh,
just weird cut to just two dudes shooting the shit, talking about an accident that, a car accident that happened on Mulholland Drive. Oh, this thing was supposed to happen, but, bunch of teenagers fucking banged up their shit. And, it seems like she's missing or something. They're having a yuck and a half about it. And there's a guy at a desk and a blonde man standing up in the room.
Yeah, they're in a shitty office essentially.
Yeah, some kind of shitty office rent out office building. And they're talking. Blonde guy tells them oh, is that so and so's black book? And he's like, oh no, yeah. And the guy's like, okay, cool. Pulls out a gun and fucking shoots him. Just kills him. And as the guy's trying to crawl and get away from it, or no, he doesn't try to crawl.
Yeah, that guy just So what happens is that he's trying to make it look like a suicide, and so he's trying to put the gun into the guy's hand, and it goes off and goes through the wall and hits the lady.
Hits a lady in the neighboring building, and he goes over there to check out what's happening, and she's like, I got bit by a bug.
I got bit. Something bit me real bad.
So he's trying to control her. She's freaking out. There's been a gunshot. And isn't that when he sees someone who's a cleaner in the hallway?
He's got her in a fucking rear chokehold trying to pull her to the room where he killed the guy. And he sees the janitor down the hallway. And he's like, yeah, something's wrong with her. I'm trying to
this lady's having an episode. Help, call an ambulance.
Yeah.
And he's just being stared at by this guy. Everything's going wrong. This is a fucking Murphy's Law situation.
Oh, I described it as
go wrong does.
I described it as me playing Hitman. Is every single thing is oops, I did that. Oh, the fire alarm's going off.
I mean, it's one of my favorite comedic scenarios of you commit a horrendous murder, someone sees you, and you're like, no witnesses. You go and kill the witness. Someone sees you kill that witness. You're like, no witnesses.
Yeah.
You go and kill the witness. And it turtles all the way down.
I don't know.
He shoots a
Why
vacuum
did he
cleaner or
shoot
something,
the
and the smoke
vacuum?
sets off an alarm, and it's like, fuck this, and he jumps out the window. He's like, fuck this shit. This window, no. He just gets the hell out.
I think he shot it because he wanted it to start a fire, but it just sets off the fire alarm.
Yeah, like it just seemed to be like, oh shit.
Just everything that could have gone wrong.
Everything that could have gone wrong goes wrong in that situation.
Great hit, man.
Oh, fuck. And then from that point is where we go back to Rita and Betty, right? Rita's finally waking up from her nap. And,
Is that before or after the Adam gets home with his wife?
I think it's before. I'm pretty sure it's before, at least going off my notes.
I think like the thing is like I don't think the specific arrangement of this part of the movie really matters because like it's like several kind of semi-independent storylines kind of happening like parallel to each other.
Yeah, like this beginning chunk of the movie is like a lot of just seemingly random things happening that end up building into what happens at the end of the movie.
I think it's very important that he comes back and pours paint on jewelry, and then for like most of the movie is just wearing the pink paint.
Okay, I thought you were gonna bring up something else. We can't bring up the real surprise of that scene until we get to that scene. But
yeah, like we get back to the apartment with Betty and Rita, and like they kind of hash out like what the situation is. You know,
they open up Rita's purse and it's fucking full of money.
Yeah,
and
money and a strange blue key.
Yes, exactly. So put a pin in both of those specific images. But then they just hash out like, okay, we're gonna start doing an investigation. It'll be just like in the movies. We'll pretend to be someone else. Put a pin in that.
Yes.
And, you know, they try calling, like, the cops to find out what happened on Mulholland Drive, and for some reason the cops are really dodgy about it, too. Like, they know that an accident happened, but they won't share any further information, and the cops start asking, like, who are you? Like, who's calling about this? And
we kind of walked past it, but there is a short scene earlier where the cops like are on the scene of the accident and they realize that someone is missing from it. So presumably they're still looking for that person, and that's why they're asking like about the identity of someone calling about it.
Yes. But then from that scene is where we get Adam going home, and he's really insistent about going home. He's got like his secretary on the phone saying like, hey, they fucking shut down your film, everyone's gone, like
we need you to come here
and
and like help us figure this out. And he's like,
and he's taking his ball and he's going home.
Yeah,
he is just like, he's saying fuck it,
CM punking all the way home. Just like it's very funny to me that he just keeps using the same phrase over and over again of no, I'm going home.
Yeah.
It's like, so
I'm in pain, I'm tired, and I work with fucking children. Anyway, so he goes home.
He drives home. There, for some reason, there's a pool cleaning van parked out in front of his house, but he can't seem to find anyone in his home. There's no one out by the pool, so keeps walking through the house, goes to the bedroom, and suddenly he sees his wife and fucking Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus jump scare.
And they're pissed at him.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, the wife is pissed.
Yeah,
She's
the wife is pissed.
She's like, fucking really?
Billy's kind of cool with it. He's just like, hey, look, man, just forget you saw this. It's best for everybody. Like,
I think it's best for
the funniest thing about this is just like,
they're pissed at him.
Yeah, the funniest thing about this is how
you?
extremely reasonable Billy Ray Cyrus is about this whole situation.
Billy Ray Cyrus is the woman respecter.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing about it is, like, Adam storms out of the room with a box of jewelry, and, like, she's still yelling at him, and Billy Ray is just like, he's probably upset, Lorraine. Like, just very empathetic to the guy's situation. Mm-hmm. However, once he starts dumping paint, or Adam starts dumping paint on the jewelry, and like
once he starts being rough with her, like,
yes, he like starts like trying to push her out of the way, like shake her. That's when Billy Ray comes in and just fucking decks him in the face.
Yeah, he even says like, I don't care, what happened. You don't do that to your wife, and decks him.
After completely cucking him, now smacks him upside the head with his
As
fist.
I said, woman respect her.
Yeah, so...
Billy Ray Cyrus kicks this man out of his own home. Yeah. He's covered in paint.
So he has to like waddle out like a fucking like a penguin with no friends. Yeah. Just like, well, I guess I'm leaving because fucking.
So he drives, and I think at this point it still keeps following him, and he goes to a hotel just somewhere downtown where he's gonna hide out while everything is collapsing around him, basically. And he gets a call again from his secretary saying like, hey, you're broke. Like, the fucking hotel manager is saying like, yeah, your money is no longer good here. And the secretary...
Well, the hotel manager is like, hey, some guys came by, and there's a whole thing where like he pays the hotel manager in cash, so like his credit being bad doesn't like really affect that. But the hotel manager is telling him, hey, whoever is looking for you, they know where you are. The manager shows up later in a different role, which is pretty great. But yeah, later his secretary talks to him, telling him, like, basically repeating that his money's been shut off, like shit's fucked up.
And then she mentions that the cowboy wants to see you.
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
Cowboy, baby.
And he makes a
Put
bunch
in a
of
drop
fucking...
of like Kid Rock right here, just like
no, absolutely no Kid Rock allowed on this podcast.
Can we put Kids Bop Kid Rock?
No, that's even worse.
Yeah.
But before we can go see the cowboy, we cut back to Betty and Rita in the apartment, and they're hanging out. They're having a good time. They're still, congregating about what to do about the scenario, when suddenly there's a knock at the door, and there's a fucking weird old lady hanging out there that says a whole bunch of cryptic shit, which the main one that I took note of is Betty tells the old woman that her name is Betty and like her aunt lives here. The old woman says, no, it is not. And she like starts going off about like there's trouble in there, like something terrible is gonna happen with you. And then finally Coco comes to the rescue. Is like, what are you doing, Luis? Get out of here. This is just our crazy old lady that, hangs out around the apartments and, torments people randomly.
Everywhere has one of those.
Oh, there she goes. Old peppercorn.
But yeah, so Coco is like reassuring her, telling her like, oh, it's fine, it's okay, that's just how Luis is, and proceeds to hand off a script to Betty saying like, oh yeah, this is for your big audition tomorrow. Like, she's got the hookups right away. She's like, look, you got the script here, you're gonna kill it, have fun. And I didn't take note of anything else that happened in that scene, so if there's anything further that people want to add. Okay, well, that's good, because now we move on to the cowboy.
This guy's incredible. I love this dude.
This guy is fantastic, and once we're done describing the scene, I need to tell you a little anecdote about something that really happened in my life at some point that kind of ties into this. Anyway, Adam drives out to the Hollywood Hills. There's a ranch out there. It's completely empty. You don't see any animals.
Cowboys
It's late.
Ram.
It's late at night. It's poorly lit. And, you know, suddenly out of the darkness emerges the most cowboy-looking cowboy motherfucker that you've ever seen. And
Well, like he's dressed as a cowboy, but like he doesn't like look like a cowboy. He's like pale and like he's got, you know, freckles, and he's got like the
He also looks to be like this albino white.
yeah, he's like very pale, and he's got like, he looks kind of gaunt in the face a little bit, and it's like he's extremely soft-spoken and monotone, like not in a way that you would expect like a Clint Eastwood to be soft-spoken or like whatever. Like he really seems like he's halfway disinterested in even being here.
yes, and he says a bunch of cryptic shit at Adam's character, and basically tells him like, if you want to get this movie back, what you're gonna fucking do is you're gonna go into work tomorrow, you're gonna audition a bunch of girls, and when you see the girl from the photo that they showed you earlier today, you're going to call your producer over and say, this is the girl. Now, if you do good, you will see me one more time. If you see me 2 more times, that means you did bad. And that's a note to again, put a pin in that.
Yeah. And I think another thing he says there that is like, he has this whole thing where he's talking to Adam, where he says, you know, you would agree that like someone's disposition like affects to a large degree how their life goes, and like and Adam like sort of broadly agrees with that. And then like, and there's this whole thing about how like, you know, he's the one who is like driving the proverbial buggy, and Adam is allowed to ride along if he plays ball with like the task that has been set before him.
Yes. Again, very much kind of tying into this character being a bit of a David Lynch insert, where it's like, listen, if you want to still have this fucking movie, you need to work with us. Otherwise, all of the work that you have done, it's just going to go into the trash.
I wrote down that the cowboy is like the whispers of fate from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that they trying to steer the plot to happen.
Kind of,
yeah. Like there's he says some additional stuff about like he's like checking Adam, like when he's talking with Adam about like the whole thing about, you know, whether he agrees that someone's like attitude affects their lives or not. He's like, do you actually believe that, or are you just telling me what I want to hear? So he's kind of like, you know, and I feel like that's an answer. That's a question that he already knows the answer to. But like he is like seeing if Adam is like ideologically on the same page with him, at least to the extent where he can get Adam like kind of back on program.
Exactly. Yeah. So that scene happens, and then next morning we're back with Betty and Rita. They're seemingly reading through the script that Betty got the night before, and they're having a bit of a silly time with it. Like, Betty isn't taking it super seriously. She seems to be like hamming it up all goofy style and everything. I can't remember if anything like specifically happens. Is there anything of note that anyone else here would point out while they're still in the apartment? Because for me, my main takeaway starts coming once Betty goes to the audition.
No, I think that's pretty much it, because like I think the one thing we didn't mention is that Betty like clears up the whole thing with her aunt pretty quickly, where and this was a while ago, like her aunt wants Betty to call the police and Betty doesn't want to do it, perhaps like realizing that the police would cause nothing but trouble for her.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be investigating Rita. Rita might go to jail. A whole bunch of unspoken things.
Just don't get the pigs involved.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a good way to handle anything.
But the important thing that does happen is, in some way or another, some kind of memory gets triggered in. Oh no, it's because they end up going to they go to Winkies. That's the big thing that happens. So they go to Winkies and they're having lunch there, and they have a waitress by the name of Diane, and that triggers a memory in Rita where she's like, oh shit, Diane Selwyn. For some reason that name is sticking out in my brain. So they're looking through like the yellow pages trying to find where this person lives. They find a location. Betty realizes like, oh shit, I gotta get to my audition. Once I'm done with that, we're coming back and we're gonna go to her apartment and find out what's going on there. So, she goes to her audition, and we once again get into like the weird, like very dream fulfilling idea of this like first chunk of the movie, because Betty basically does what every like aspiring actress wishes would happen with them, which is like has an audition and is like the best fucking actress of all time.
Like just nails it.
Kills it.
They've called in extra people they had that were like, they want to see you. Like it's full of like people who can help her out. It's just
Maybe
the
I'm
perfect
misreading
audition.
that scene.
What are you taking away from that scene?
I was watching that scene and I felt like everybody there was acting like people where if she wasn't hired, they would lose their job. They all act so superficially towards her, like a child almost. Like, oh, you did really well. Oh, that's so nice.
I think that's part of the dreamlike nature of it.
Yeah.
Of what that first chunk of the movie is supposed to
I
be.
guess the other thing to me is, do the other people know that if she isn't hired, this movie isn't happening?
Well, it's not her. Like Betty isn't the girl.
Yeah,
the girl is
the audition is for like an
Camilla.
unrelated thing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the other
okay.
thing.
Yeah, because like the thing that's happening there is that like the production that she's doing the audition for is doomed. Like the casting director talks about it after it, where she's talking about the guy, like the producer who like is kind of like running the audition. Just like, oh, he's a nice guy, but he's been trying to get this thing made for years and it's never gonna happen. And like the director is checked out, and like the main actor they got is like some old guy who's like handsy with the girls and
Yeah.
it's just
But
like
oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it just seemed like the superficialness of it is that like everyone there is just kind of wasting their time.
Yeah, but the thing that ends up happening is that casting director is like, you were so good, we need to take you to the set of like another film to like audition for that, because you will probably get that role. And what do you know, they take her to the set of the movie that Adam is directing, which seemingly is also set in that like roaring Hollywood's like time period. So there's a theme here.
That made me realize, did we skip over they meet with the wheelchair guy and he's like, shut it down?
Yeah, that's mentioned like shortly after that happens, like shortly after like the meeting with the producers and stuff. Like one of the studio guys goes to the room where that wheelchair guy is.
Yeah, like
and like
like the head honcho, whatever he is.
honestly, the stuff with the wheelchair guy is like arguably the least explored stuff in the movie. Like you could basically just take that as like, you know,
I often forget that scene exists.
Yeah, you could pretty simply take that as just like, you know, bigwig executive like sending orders from above, and that's, you can kind of just write off any scene with that guy as that. You know, it ultimately ties in, but there's not much to gain from it. But anyways, she goes to the set of Adam's movie, and you know, she locks eyes with Adam while they're like running scenes with different actresses, and it's, you watching it for the first time, you're probably wondering what is happening between these two right now. Is this supposed to be some kind of like romantic, like seeing the other person from the side of the room and it's like love at first sight or something like that? But it's not quite that, because they don't necessarily have puppy dog eyes for each other, but like they are staring intently at one another for some reason or another. But yeah, so that's happening in the background all while Adam is auditioning people. Finally, Camilla Rhodes comes up and does her audition, and Adam calls the producer over and is like, this is the girl. He's a good boy. He does what the cowboy told him to.
He says it like as he was forced to, just like, that's the girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he looks very like, this is what you told me to say.
Yeah, Camilla,
and they're like, good choice.
I don't know if we specifically said it, but Camilla Rose is like the girl who he's being told to cast.
Yes.
I don't know if we said the name, but like,
we might have, but it's good to go back to that.
The girl where the head guy's like, if they don't have that girl, the whole thing should shut it down.
It's fucking done.
Yep.
Like, you get the impression that like you can do, like, you can make your movie however you want, but you gotta have this girl in the main role, and that's non-negotiable.
Exactly. So, you know, once he makes that choice for some reason or another, well, the main reason being that Betty remembers, like, oh shit, right, I have to go back to Rita and help her with investigating. She bails. She's just like, all right, pieces, bye, and leaves. So her and Rita, they go to the apartment complex. They're starting to drive up. There's two dudes just hanging out in a car outside of the apartment complex, and Rita is very worried about that. Understandably so, considering she almost got killed. So they drive around to the back, they go into the complex and find the apartment that should belong to Diane. They knock on the door. It ain't Diane. For some reason, Diane has supposedly switched apartments with
this neighbor.
Neighbor / friend, whatever their relationship is supposed to be. So she mentions, like, yeah, she hasn't been there for a couple of days, but you two go on ahead. I'll meet you over there in a bit to see what's going on there. They try knocking. Diane don't answer. They sneak into the apartment. And
they find a corpse.
Diane is super dead 64.
Oh, yes, just a corpse.
But a thing you should definitely put a pin in that dead body and take note of, like, the pose, the vague description of the, like, of the person themselves. They're a blonde, you know? The thing to take a note of there. And rightfully so, Rita freaks the fuck out and runs out of the apartment while Betty chases after her. You know, they go back home and, you know, hey, we just saw a dead body. You want to have some eye-opening lesbian sex?
Wait, doesn't the hair thing happen first?
Oh yes.
I know you want to jump to the lesbian sex.
I'm sorry. I need to talk about my lesbians.
So in the freaking out about just seeing a dead body, she starts like cutting her hair off in the sink. And
Yeah,
then,
she tries to give herself bangs like every woman in distress does.
Yeah, exactly. I've been there too. I know. I gotta have my bangs. So basically, and then just like she's stopped by the other girl, and she just says like, "Here, let me do it." And so she helps cut her hair exactly like her. So there's two blondes.
She doesn't cut her hair. She gets her a wig.
That's it.
Yeah, she gets her a wig to put over her hair because understandably she probably thinks that Diane got killed. And if my one connection that I have as an amnesiac is someone that has seemingly been fucking killed, I'm worried about being seen as I naturally am.
Yeah.
So gets a wig for her. They look the same.
Yeah, they're looking in the mirror, and it's just they both have the same hair.
And, there's a discussion to be had later about, like, the dichotomy that David Lynch goes through in a lot of his works of, like, the blonde and brunette, the light and the dark, but we don't have to get into that quite yet. But yeah, after that,
What's more life-affirming than lesbian sex?
Yeah.
So...
like Rita is still wearing the wig and, like, getting ready to sleep on the couch, and Betty is like, "You're inside. Take the wig off. Get in this bed with me. We're just gonna hang out." And Rita's like, "Okay, I'll get comfortable." Takes off her robe and just heaving bosom.
She got boobs. I got boob envy. My God.
So there's a very lovely scene where they're just probably unreality kicking in of just both of them like very bluntly saying to each other between like kisses and everything like, "I am in love with you."
Well,
like it's
Rita never says it, right?
No, she says it.
Does she?
I'm pretty sure she says it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like we just rewatched the second half of the movie with Bridget earlier.
But they are absorbed in each other and very, very vocal about the fact.
Yeah, so they're doing that, and then they both they start catching some more honk shoes and me when suddenly Rita wakes up in the middle of the night saying, "Silencio, no hay banda, silencio, silencio." Like
Silencio.
Effectively like sleeping with her eyes open and talking in her sleep, just saying these cryptic things. And once Betty shakes her awake, starts saying like, I need you to take me somewhere.
It's 2 a.m.
I need you to take me somewhere.
So she takes her somewhere.
Steve, why are you making chocolate pudding? Because I've lost control of my life.
Because I've lost my memory and I just saw a dead body.
Yeah. So you zoom into a sign that says Silencio.
Well, yeah, a sign in a club in a back alley called Club Silencio.
There it is.
And you have the world's most intimidating man delivering a monologue about there is no band. This is all a recording. This is all illusory. If I wanted to have a trumpet play, does a wave of the hand and suddenly you hear a trumpet from out of nowhere.
A clarinet.
Yes, you hear a clarinet, and if you have subtitles on, the subtitles say clarinet, just so you know for sure that it's a clarinet. And then he says and then a muted trumpet. And, you hear a muted trumpet, you see a guy come out from behind the curtains also playing the trumpet, and then suddenly the man removes the trumpet from his mouth and you still hear the trumpet going.
No hay banda.
Yes.
There is no band.
My favorite part of the subtitles was when he spoke French and it just says, "Speak French." It doesn't
and then he holds his hands up like a fucking wizard and lightning is like rumbling
basically
in the background.
Almost looks like the devil at that point. Like, oh.
Yes. And Naomi Watts looks like she's having a seizure for some reason, and that's the point in the movie, really Club Silencio in general, is the point in the movie where you start suspecting that there's another layer to this that you are not quite seeing.
You're not privy to it.
Because why is Betty now the one being effective when all the mysteries seem to be surrounding Rita specifically? So that's when your brain should start like percolating about things.
Because it's 2 a.m. and a Satan-looking man is speaking in French going, "No, I banda!"
You're listening to a woman like saying Roy Orbison's crying in Spanish.
One of the most beautiful pieces of music in a film, like
Captivating,
ever.
strong.
Yeah. It's an
just
incredible
heart-tugging.
performance.
So the girls start crying and holding each other just in awe of this.
And then Rebecca Del Rio fucking passes out and you still hear a voice singing.
Yeah.
Because, again, this is all a recording.
This is all an illusion. There is no band. And then she gtes dragged off stage after passing out while it's still playing.
And it's worth noting that the MC at the show is the manager at the hotel that Adam was staying at.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh.
They had the same mustache.
Huh.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I hadn't seen that either. Mm-hmm. Yo.
But yeah, so, you know, Betty is reaching into her purse to like probably try and get some tissue for for both of them crying when suddenly she pulls out a blue box.
Ah, yes, the Hellraiser moment.
And both of them realize together like, oh shit, right. They don't say it, but they remember, oh, there's the key back at the apartment. So they rush back home. They get into the bedroom. They both like rush to open up like the thing that they stored the purse with like all the money and the key in. And then as Rita's pulling the key out of the box, suddenly Betty is just gone. Like for some reason, she's just disappeared from the scene, and Rita is like, "Donde estás? Like, where the fuck are you? Where did you go, Betty?" Mm-hmm. But she proceeds to unlock the box, open it up. Camera zooms down into the box, and then
the box is just full of void.
And then the box falls down, and Rita is no longer in the room either.
Yep.
And then you see the aunt walk into this empty room, very much like, what's happening
the
in
fuck
here
just
right now?
happened?
What the fuck?
Yeah. And then she leaves, and then you suddenly cut to a different apartment, and you see on the bed seemingly the dead body of Diane, except she's not dead. You see the cowboy peek into the room and say, "Wake up, baby girl. It's
time to wake up, pretty girl."
Yeah, time to wake up, pretty girl. And suddenly the body on the bed starts moving, and it's Naomi Watts again. Except she's not Betty. She is Diane Selwyn. Everything leading up to this point has more or less been a dream.
Yes.
That Diane Selwyn has been having.
Like, the two things you immediately notice are the place she's living in, not nearly as lavish as it was before.
Not at all.
A much smaller, more cramped apartment. The reality of, like, the lighting, the dreamlike lighting, the very cinematic way the movie has been shot to this point, gone. It is flat. It is, still professionally lit and shot, but, like, in a way that this is drab. Like, this is just reality hitting in the face.
Yes. And
it's reality, but it's like a more hellish version of reality. Like,
well,
I think,
exactly,
yeah.
That's now that we have gotten to the point in the movie where the divide happens specifically between those two chunks, I feel like it's important to note the phrasing that the MC delivers in that scene in Club Silencio is, although he says that this is all illusory and everything, at the end of everything, he still keeps saying that this is all a recording. So regardless of the things happening earlier on or not happening exactly as they were shown to have happened, elements of those scenes definitely happened. Like, that's why it's important. Like, that's why the order that things happen in that first chunk of the movie doesn't matter so much, but it is still important to take note of those things that happened, because it all ends up congealing in some way or another into what we can assume is the truth of what happened between Diane and Camilla. Camilla actually being the Rita character that we have been seeing up to this point in the movie. Because you have the scene with like the hitmen earlier on where they're like looking for that brunette girl for some reason or another. You have the stuff with Adam and his wife seemingly getting a divorce, or at the very least in the lead up to getting the divorce, because as we hear later on, he's telling a story about something with the pool guy and a pool. So that scene earlier had to have happened in some form or another. And that's where everything starts. That's where the movie like really opens up to you once you kind of have that realization. Like, you don't have the usual reaction that you do and stuff where like you find out something is a dream sequence and you're like, oh, none of that fucking mattered. Like, why did I even bother watching that? It's like, no, this still all very much matters to what the entirety of this film is about.
Yeah, I feel like it is like they give you the key, but they don't give you the puzzle until the end. I like, because the dream sequence, like, you know, it gives you all like, you know, I call it the dream sequence, but it's just like this sort of like more kind of, yeah, this like more fantastical version of events is like both versions of events kind of inform each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we have Diane in her apartment. She looks like shit. Yep. She is having a bad time. And, you know, she's making coffee for herself. She looks haggard.
She looks like she's been living off nothing but coffee for the past week. Looks rough.
She looks to her side and she starts, like, seeing Rita in the room with her. Rita's not actually there. She continues making her coffee. She goes over to the couch and we go into a flashback exploring how exactly it was that Diane has gotten to this point.
Yeah, like in this sort of kitchen scene where she's making coffee, like we also see like the neighbor coming by to pick up the last of her stuff,
including an ashtray.
Like I think a thing that's really well done here is the way that the placement of items on the coffee table like tells you the sequence of events as they happen, even though it's sort of like out of chronological order.
Yeah, it's really fucking clever. Like that's a thing that like when this happens like an episode of Utena, and they have to use like big pointing like neon sign fingers to say, hey, pay attention to this as it changes, to figure out when stuff happened. Yeah.
Like really making sure they have everything. The lady collects the stuff, including that like very obvious piano ashtray.
Yeah, and then
you lead to that flashback where it's still on the table.
The blue key is, again, a thing to put a pin in, because that comes back later and also ties in to the blue box and the blue key from the dream-like sequence there.
But it's that key, that ashtray, right?
Yeah, so what we learn here is that Diane and Camilla were lovers, but Camilla breaks it off because she's entering this relationship with Adam. Diane is is a struggling actress. You get the impression that she is not like particularly. Yeah, and like there's a class position thing happening, I think, where like Diane is like, or like Camilla is like considered more successful than Diane is, and like. That's like, in addition to like the sort of relationship struggle that the two are going through, like the relative like difference in class position like has led to additional resentment on Diane's part.
Yes. And you really see that like class position like coming into full effect when Camilla calls Diane out to a party that her and Adam are throwing out in the hills, because you get to meet Adam's mom, who just so happens to actually be Coco from earlier on in the film. Adam is like a fucking nepo baby that got into directing because like he has a mom that is seemingly well off. You have Camilla, who's like this golden child that's been picked out by like all of the executives and everything. And then you have Diane, who just happened to win like a fucking jitterbug contest, and that's
like
where
had some money that her aunt left her.
Yeah,
Time to the beginning of the movie, the jitterbug.
Exactly. Thank you, Bridget. So you have this whole long drawn out dinner scene where like Adam and Camilla are being like super lovey-dovey and everything, and you could tell that Diane is just fucking seething the entire
Who is that
time.
other woman who just kisses her like on the lips? It's not.
So that character doesn't have a name, but in the dream part of the movie, that is the person that is named as Camilla during the auditions. Like if you notice, they say Camilla Rhodes, she comes up, she sings.
Yeah, that's her picture.
Yeah. But a thing to note in this dinner scene, Diane looks up and sees one person leave the room. It lingers on that shot just long enough for you to see, guess who? The cowboy a second time.
And we also see like the producer who spat out his coffee earlier.
Yes.
He's also there.
Yes. Exactly. And from that point, we cut to Diane in the Winkies with the hitman that we were introduced to earlier. And, she sees a waitress. Her waitress comes up to the table, pours her coffee, looks at the name tag. Her name is Betty. So that's where we have gotten this constructed identity of Betty.
Pretending to be someone else. And Diane.
Even in this spot where it's like a little bit more serious, there is this brief comedic bit of like, don't put the hit photo out in public. Like,
I mean, you also have like the It's Always Sunny scene of like Charlie and fucking what's his name looking at each other from like across the restaurant, because Diane looks across the Winkies and the dude from the fucking like conversation back in the beginning of the film who passes out at the side of the Sea Hag is up at the counter like paying for his meal and everything. But no, yeah, so she shows the photo to the hitman and says that she wants this done. He asks her, does she have the money? And in that very same purse that we saw during the dream sequence, she opens it up and she's got all that money. And the hitman hands her a blue key.
Well, he says that like he doesn't hand it to her. He says that this will be in the place we agreed when it's done.
yeah, when it's done, you will
see this. So we have all of our pieces laid out in front of us at that point. So from there, we cut back to Diane in the modern day, and she is, in very much kind of in shambles. You can still tell about everything. And, you have this interstitial shot behind the Winkies of the Sea Hag holding the blue box, and there's a paper bag that she sticks it in, puts it at her feet, and then suddenly you see a bunch of little old people, the same two fucking old people.
It took
from the
everything
beginning of the
to
movie.
just start not
Like-
laughing with the little
Like little micro boomers. Sorry,
I think it's supposed to be.
And,
I think it's supposed to be absurd in a comedic way still.
Oh no, yeah. Like I said, it's David Lynch playing on that thin line.
Think of the
Just a little
dancing
homunculus.
Adam Sandler's in Grunch Grunk Glove. Where they're all like tiny coming out. Anyway.
But yeah, so you see them crawl out of the bag, and it's not just that they're tiny, but they're also like filmed in such a way where like their motion is extremely jittery, so it's very off-putting in how it looks.
Yeah, little tiny freaks.
But yeah, and we cut back to Diane, and she starts hearing knocking at the door of her apartment, which really what we could assume is probably
That's likely the police.
Likely the police, because on the table you see that blue key that the hitman showed her.
Yeah, the blue key it's on the table like from the beginning of the sequence, and so like you can kind of like deduce that everything like that happens after she like starts making that coffee like is like a flashback to kind of the lead up is like, yeah, it's how
the
we
old
got there.
people start coming out of the woodwork.
Yes, you see them crawl under the door first, and the apartment looks like it's filling with smoke, and then suddenly like she's screaming, and you see the old people in like full size just like waving their hands at her, laughing
full-on
menacingly.
Gammy Num-Nums attack.
And she's screaming. She runs to the bedroom, locks herself inside, reaches into her fucking dresser, pulls out a gun, and just fucking blows her brains out.
Just right through the head.
And you hear the main theme of the movie playing as like smoke fills the room. You see the skyline of Los Angeles like at night, and again that like mildly faded out shot of like her face just completely blown out in white light, like looking up
In wonder.
Yeah.
Kind of like when she first gets out of the like airport, just thinking,
out the airport.
This beautiful place.
And
Los
images of,
Angeles.
Yeah.
And that is where the movie ends. That is Mulholland Drive.
What a fucking bizarre but like intense film.
It's so fucking good.
It's just crazy.
So, I guess starting off, probably before we get into our analysis, I'm curious, Evie, what do you have to share with us from the writings that you found online about this movie?
I took away a number of things that were interesting. Like there was an article I read that was featured in the LA Review of Books. I forget the name of the woman who wrote it, but like she starts her article off with an anecdote about how like she's started film school, and there was a dude that she ran into early on there, and he was like, "What's your favorite movie?" And she was like, "Mulholland Drive," and he was like, "Oh, that's my favorite too." And then like they went on went to have dinner and like talk about stuff. And like basically she realizes that the reasons that she liked Mulholland Drive and identified it were very different from the reasons that he liked Mulholland Drive and identified with it. And I think that syncs up with like a thematic like crux of the film. Like basically like I feel like the perspectives there are like kind of, the character of the cowboy is kind of like the fulcrum point, because like the thing about this guy is that he would not stop fucking talking about the cowboy. Like the cowboy, like, he apparently would just like go on and on about what the cowboy is, like what it means and all this stuff.
Oh God.
And it's like, and so like there's a there's a textual thing going on in Mulholland Drive where where a lot of the characters, or like there's kind of like a, I feel like this movie is about like the mechanisms that kind of run through Hollywood as kind of like as a machine, and how that, like how it chews people up and spits them out, and like how it does so somewhat based on like their identities, in like a, and like, you know, we see Adam kind of like he kind of is introduced as this like auteur director guy, but like when he's faced with adversity, like he is like he immediately reacts with just like spur of the moment violence, and then like when that gets pushed back against even harder by like kind of more, you know, institutional powers that be, he just like, oh, I'm just gonna go home then, and then only to find that he's been emasculated by Billy Ray Cyrus, and then like
Worst way to go.
yeah, and then like you know, the cowboy who is like this sort of this figure who, like, I feel like he represents the way in which this system sort of like regulates itself, where like
getting blacklisted, you know?
Yeah, like he's like, hey, you're a guy who believes that people can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Like you can if you like, you know, do the responsible thing and go along to get along, like you can like ride along with me.
Yeah, totally. And I think something interesting to bring up on that point of talking about how it is a movie about how the Hollywood system just fucking eats people up and spits them out. I find it very interesting that that sea hag character is what it is, because you have that scene in the diner with the two men. That is seemingly, those two characters are seemingly completely unrelated to anything else in the movie. That is literally just two guys talking.
It's just two guys.
So when you take it as like an id idea, especially as something that's bouncing around in Naomi Watts's head throughout the film, I find it very interesting that, you know, she's having this dream of, you know, being in this situation where she sees the most frightening thing imaginable behind like all the bright surface. You know, it's a winky face Denny's, very happy and everything. They go out behind it and you just see it's like already covered in graffiti.
Denny's, be
everything.
happy.
Yeah, exactly. Their favorite catchphrase: eat Denny's, be happy.
Yeah.
But you can already tell that shit's fucked up under the surface, and then you get back there and the most terrifying thing to look you in the face is effectively a just really haggard homeless person.
Yeah. The idea of failure.
Yeah. No, well, not just the idea of failure, but like the idea that like failure will literally leave you fucking destitute.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's very interesting that at the end of the movie, we go back to that image of the sea hag there, because you could effectively say that Naomi Watts in her own head at that exact moment is simply measuring the two likelihoods of where she's going to be, or like the couple of different likelihoods of where she's going to be. She's either going to end up fucking homeless because she's completely unsuccessful, which you can also kind of gather that a little bit from the fact that the old people are coming out of that garbage bag, like towards the end of it. That idea of what should have been, that success that could have been, is attacking you, coming at you. And Naomi Watts is basically faced with the choice of like, you can either live in being destitute with that guilt and shame and failure on your chest, or you could fucking kill yourself. And those are the only two options that she sees for herself at the end of the movie, are those two things.
I could see that.
And that's everything combined on the side that doesn't involve the gun is what leads her to choose the gun. Like, it's, yeah,
like I think like the old people definitely suggest, like, you know, she's haunted by them essentially.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, just this idea that, you know, this not even this sort of pressure, but like this being chased by like what you could have been. You could have been someone that these old people can see you on the big screen and like, oh, I was on the same flight as her when she came to Los Angeles, and like everybody back there in Ontario is just like back there rooting for you. But like what happens is that you fuck off to Los Angeles and you never come back.
Yep, exactly. And I'm curious, did anything you read kind of go into how much David Lynch likes to play with like duality and just like the idea of like two sides and almost a kind of like yin and yang like nature?
We kind of did
everything.
watch Pi when I think about it.
I don't recall that. Like I'm sure like it's mentioned because like it's such a thing that he likes to do in his films, right? But I think like going back to that article I originally was talking about, like another thing that the writer knows is just like how white this movie is. Like there are basically no people of color in it. Like there are two singers who are black, and Laura Herring's character kind of reads as Hispanic, but like, you know, she's you know, brunette.
She's white passing.
Yeah. Like, but other than that, you know, it's white people all the way down. It's white people doing shit to white people. And like, I think that intersects, like, because, you know, we talked about, you know, that the character behind the diner being a sea hag, but like a thing that, you know, it also kind of evokes the sort of like Hollywood's history of like blackface. Like, yeah, because I think like a thing that you could look at that character and see, oh, this is a figure who represents the failures of both the Hollywood system, the broader society that hosts it, and how those two things kind of intersect. Because,
interesting. Yeah, that is a very keen eye. I haven't really fully considered that. That's very good.
I have to say, since the first time we saw this film,
we should probably mention we're all white.
Yes, we are all white.
We are all Caucasian women.
Yes. But anyway, I was going to say, the thing is, like, the more we've been talking about this, the more we've been reviewing it, and this is where I get into I think I needed to see this film 3 times. The more I think about this film, the more theory I hear on it, the more fascinated and more enthralled I am with it. I think the first time I saw it was such a mind fuck, and my brain immediately went, yeah, that was wacky. Like, that was fucking crazy. And I was kind of done with it. But you know what? I've really grown to appreciate this film.
It's a great movie. I mean, it's why I'm glad David Lynch has always been of the mind of like anytime someone has tried to ask him what one of his pieces of like art means, he's just like, I'm not gonna fucking tell you.
Yeah.
Analyze it, bitch.
I'm also glad he does that, because like I think there is like, I think this movie does like it's interested of the idea of the puzzle box, of like the locked box that contains all of the meaning of a work. And like I think, because like the interesting thing about it is, like, I think you could read this movie as like, you know, you have this sort of fantastical, sort of idyllic story about, you know, some people making it big in Hollywood or whatever. But then they got too interested in finding out what the truth is. They open the box and all the air in the balloon gets let out, and we are thrust into like a hellish nightmare reality of the thing. And so like I think like a thing that's like I think this movie is like, you can look at it as a puzzle to be solved, but it is also like it's like a painting you look at, and like you see new interesting things about it and more details and more resonances that aren't like cleanly like that aren't either like cleanly explained or like like fit in a neat way into like, you know, what the answer to the thing is.
Yeah, it would be hard to explain, because also any piece of art, like there needs to be this level of like, if you look at a painting and somebody says, I see suffering, I see like societal meltdown, I see like the collapse of like, you know, society, I see like, you know, hatred, when the reality is, if someone told you what they were feeling, the nuance would be lost and flattened. Is just, yeah, so this painting is society is bad. And that sucks. That's stupid. But the fact is, like, the nuances of like what the energy was going into it is up for interpretation. I think any good piece of work for me is flattened immediately if someone tells you exactly what they were trying to do in a very like flat purpose of like, it was to do this. And it's like,
and that's why Jay was wrong to give you the answer at the beginning of the podcast. Silencio. Yeah. Bridget, what were you going to say?
Oh, I just wrote down, I just wanted to say my final note for this movie was, the moral of the story is that old people are scary and so are straights.
Yeah. The streets of the olds, they'll kill us all. But,
besides that, I also kind of like, as with any old movie, I like to see, you know, people might be mixed in them, but I wanted to see what Roger Ebert said.
Oh boy.
Oh, let's hear old Raji.
And at the end of watching this movie, Robert Ebert said, this is a movie to surrender yourself to. If you require logic, see something else. Mulholland Drive works directly on emotions like music. Individual scenes play well by themselves as they do in dreams, but they do not connect in ways that make sense, again, like dreams. The way you know the movie is over is that it ends, and then you tell your friend, I saw the weirdest movie last night, just like you tell them you had the weirdest dream.
What was the rating he ended up giving to it? Because I'm curious.
4 out of 5 stars.
Okay, so he was pretty high on it, because I know he definitely gave David Lynch a lot of shit back when Blue Velvet came out, because he felt like he had like terribly exploited one of the actresses that was on that movie, because she had like a lot of like nude scenes and stuff like that. And, you know, Roger Ebert was very much making an assumption, because you would hear interviews with the actress and she'd be like, nah, I agreed to that shit. Like that was what I was there to do.
The beginning of his review is literally, David Lynch has been working towards this movie all of his career. He's very positive on it.
Yeah, I would say that this probably is like the perfect David Lynch movie. If you want to like feel like the experience of a David Lynch work in a way that's still pretty approachable, because something like Eraserhead, that movie is off the deep end. Like,
no, yeah, that was why when that was the first like meaningful film I watched in my first brigade of like let me see the films of all time, I had to experience the horrific reality of what it was and then figure out what the fuck did this mean. Oh, and then rewatch it and understand the symbolism behind everything. Because at first it's just such a fucking mindfuck that you don't have time to put the pieces together. You're like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like...
But it's about responsibility.
Yeah. Eraserhead is off the deep end. Yeah. Inland Empire is off the deep end.
Sure.
Elephant Man and The Straight Story, from what I understand, are relatively normal movies. Like, aside from, like, David Lynch quirkiness in there. Dune is a studio compromised movie that's just kind of fun.
Yeah, I like that Dune movie, but also that's the only Lynch I've partaked in.
Blue Velvet. I haven't watched Blue Velvet, but that's the other one that I think a lot of people cite as like being his best. Yeah. Then you have like the more interstitial ones like Lost Highway. That movie's good, but I don't think it's great. Wild at Heart. Like there's a bunch of other things, but like Mulholland Drive is like the perfect, like you have the right level of like horror, comedy, obtuse like bending of reality. Like things don't feel real or connected quite, but they end up connecting at the end of the day. Like it all clicks together.
I could see that.
I would probably argue that this is his best thing, at least in my his best movie at the very least. Sure. I still haven't watched through all of Twin Peaks season 3.
I'm never going to, but
we should at some point, because I've seen some parts of it, and some parts of Twin Peaks season 3 are real fucking good.
Let's catch up with One Piece first.
Fair.
But anyway, before I reveal where this is going, we need to tell the cowboy story. We promised the folks at home.
Yeah, I guess I forgot. Not to focus on the cowboy like the person in that article you're talking about did, but back when Bree and I were living out in Arizona, there was a point at which we wanted to go to like a ice cream place that you had been to.
Yeah,
once.
Someone I had dated before I met her showed me this place. It was in this like very dead area in like a part of town where like this was in like Sun City. There's nothing there. It is a liminal space. That city.
It is one of those chunks of Phoenix where old people go to die.
Yeah, I genuinely, whenever I've had to drive through there, because I used to drive for Uber, whenever I went through there, I thought this is a fucking kaleidoscopic hellscape, and I'm gonna die in a looping hell here. Yeah. Like this becomes a loop game somewhere, right? So we go to this place. This is an entirely dead outside shopping mall. There's nothing there. There's just this place, which you suddenly understood when I told you. The person who is now my friend who took me there on a date, when I arrived there and there was like nothing there, I thought I was going to be killed. Okay. But it's great. Very friendly place. Good shop. The people there were very nice. But we went there, and upon exiting.
No. It was going in.
No, I remember we were leaving.
No, we were going in because we go in and we saw a guy riding. He was.
Yeah, there was someone in a truck. No, not there. There was someone on like another area of the block. That's right. Across from that complex, there was someone on like a tricycle, like one of those like bikes with a basket in the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say that's the guy we ended up seeing.
No, I forgot about that.
Yes. So that's what makes it fucked up.
That's right.
Can't forget this detail.
Right. There was a guy with like a cowboy hat.
Yeah, on a tricycle, like down like further in the parking complex, like in this strip mall area. We go in, we get our ice cream and everything, we're having a good time. We come out and like behind the pillar that's in front of this ice cream shop, we're going by and suddenly we see the cowboy just hanging out and he's like, hey, what's up? Like trying to talk to us.
He didn't even say anything though. I thought he was just like staring at us like with the cowboy hat like, because I didn't even notice him.
Yes.
And then I noticed the guy with the cowboy hat sitting there looking at me. For a minute, my brain's calculating, is this a statue? Is this a person? What just happened? And like, so I trip and I fall over in this like decrepit like area of the street with this gravel and stuff. I trip on this like parking bumper and we get up and keep walking. The man hasn't said a word. He's just looking at us like,
and
like
it's
this very sure way. I had never seen this film or anything with like weird Lynchian cowboys, but she described it as that. And when I saw this film again, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's what you, yeah, no.
Which
makes it even creepier.
It was literally like the fucking, like, going behind the Winkies moment. Like, we went around that corner, I saw that guy, I was like, oh!
Yeah. My heart stopped when I just suddenly noticed cowboy, and I trip, and it's like, this was the precursor to something horrible. But now, I have to move on.
If we ever see him again, something very bad is about to happen in our lives.
I never have to see him again. Anyway, but now we move on to...
No, before we move on, do we have any final thoughts? Bridget?
After watching it, I have to say,
Yeah.
it was okay.
How many stars out of 5?
3.
Wow, that hurts.
I give it a 4.8.
Oh, it's like a 5-star movie for me.
Remember, something to always keep in mind is, at the end of the day, my heart is with animation, and so even if live action is like, you know, really good, I still might just feel
lukewarm.
If this all played out in an anime, what would your rating be?
Yeah.
4-star probably, if the animation was good.
We'll call it 4 stars for storytelling.
We'll call it 4 stars.
Evie.
I wrote down what's the star thing I gave for this movie is. I can't remember. I really liked it though. I like it is definitely one of the movies of all time, I think.
Oh yes.
Like it is like it's I think like a lot of the stuff that Jay looks for in films like this, I also really appreciate. There's so much to think about and like so much like striking imagery that's going to stick with you like long after you're done watching it, and that's what I really enjoy.
One thing I did notice when watching this movie is the amount of time some people in the background were trying to stop themselves from laughing.
I did not notice that ever watching this movie.
It's interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Like certain like non-focal characters, you can just kind of
yeah.
see them smirking a little, or like depending on some of the line deliveries.
Sure. Do you have any final thoughts? Because I feel like I've said everything.
I think that I'm pretty much covered on it. I think like we've kind of addressed the like how this can be read as the world that like, you know, boomers kind of fed to, you know, people of a younger generation of like this aspirational thing that like they're riding off in their fucking limos. Like they're the ones who have just ruined it all for everyone. And it's this unattainable thing.
Yeah.
But you know, that leads into, again, you know, the Hollywood chewing and spitting out people. But I think that's all we had to say. I think I'm pretty well covered on this.
Yeah.
All right.
One last thing is because, you know, just it's sorry to again talk about the fucking cowboy is kind of related to the what Bree just said about, you know, Hollywood chewing people up and spitting people out. I said earlier that like the idea that it kind of chews people up based on their identities. Thinking about it, that's not quite accurate. I think it's like it has no it chews people up that it has no use for, and people may be more or less likely to be useful to that system depending on who they are. Like, so someone like Betty with like a lower class position and like who, you know, is a queer woman, like is, you know, less valuable than like someone like Adam who is able to kind of serve it, who is able to kind of like work the mechanisms of the system, and kind of like work as a director who will kind of like keep the machine moving. And one of them sees the cowboy twice, one of them sees the cowboy 3 times. Like it's that's kind of how it works out.
And see, I hadn't even considered that. Her being a queer woman and the other one clearly being bi and using that to get ahead, being in a straight relationship and leaving that hadn't even occurred to me, but that's a very good point. How like that adaptation to, fitting in, very much shielding as I'm one of these like straight people that you need to hear to play ball, is a really other fascinating thingy.
Yeah, and kind of going back to like there are some people who don't even get to like sniff at the places where decisions are made and where power is being held and wielded. You see the only black people we see are backup singers. There's the only homeless person is a sea hag, I guess. The surplus class like doesn't even get to exist in this
reality.
I mean, that does bring a you made me think, Evie, and yeah, in this reality, quite frankly, there isn't that many locations that they go to.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much a like dream situation.
The death of the third place. There are no libraries. There are only there's the Winkies, and there's like the boardrooms where there are weird.
Yeah, there's
like,
no coffee
executives.
shops. There's no like place to settle down on your laptop. No, you have to be with your family and at work or eating at a shitty diner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
I think we've exhausted it.
I think so. I have been waiting for quite a while to drop this on y'all. Bridget, Evie, does the phrase here I'm gonna tell you mean anything to you? A murderous shadow lies hard across my soul. Let me tell you what this is from. You see, Naomi Watts also did additional voices in a little film called Babe, Pig in the City.
Oh, okay.
You were not ready for Babe, Pig in the City. We weren't ready. We spun the wheel of the casual viewing. We saw, this is just going to be a feel-good, like, kind of low-impact film. I can't wait for you to see what it actually is. And I cannot wait to talk about it. But next time on Put It on the List, we're talking about Babe, Pig in the City.
Pig.
That was directed by George Miller, right?
Yes, it was.
You might know him as the director of Happy Feet.
and of Mad Max.
And
Mad Max fame.
I have so much to say, but we'll save it for them.
Yeah, I guess I'll save the thing I want to say for that.
We'll save it for them. But for now...
thanks to whatever the exit phrase is, everyone, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Follow us on co-host. I assume that's what we're gonna do, is just put on
I bet we'll make a co-host. I think whoever's editing this could do a drop about where the co-host is.
Course,
there's the co-host. I could post it in other podcast places like the Greatest Movie Ever Discord.
Oh yeah, you have the connections. That's true.
Connections, yes, sure.
She also has a Blue Sky account, so none of us have to bother making
thank
one.
God.
Yeah, Christ. Okay, good.
I have a Blue Sky account in the sense that I post when I'm live.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You get to post
You're also
when the
gonna,
episode is
yeah,
live
you're also
now,
going to
too.
post about this
So long,
podcast.
everybody.
Sorry.
Good night, everybody.
Clap.
Remember, if you're
you gotta
blue and you
we
don't
gotta
know where to
all
go
clap.
to.
Remember?
At the end,
No,
too?
we already clapped.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we already got the clap.
It's just an extra precaution. Is
Okay,
all.
sure. We can do. We can do.
We can clap.
right,
we
so-
don't have to clap if people don't want to do the clap.
No, we can clap.
Let's
Are we done? We're not
Wait,
are we done with the episode here?
Once we do the clap, like Bridget's insisting, yes. So 1, 2, 3, clap as usual. So 1, 2, 3, clap. All right, and now the recording is done.